In this video, we're going to talk about the short trek Calypso after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in the short trek Calypso, from the outset, we are kind of fooled. Oh, by the way, if you have not yet seen this episode, I recommend you go back and see it before you see this video because there will be spoilers. Also, before you leave, if you will subscribe and click on the bell so that you won't miss the next video, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so as I was saying, some surprises in this minisode. First of all, Calypso is not the ship that we find our hero on. His name is Craft, and he finds himself inside an escape pod, apparently from a ship called Calypso. And in this escape pod, we see an old Betty Boop cartoon playing, something that's even old to this generation, much less whatever time period this all happened. It's explained later he didn't understand who Betty Boop was or why it was on there. When he arrives aboard the Discovery, his escape pod is spotted, tractor beams come on, and he wakes up in sickbay and is addressed by an artificial intelligence that he thinks at first is just someone who is in a remote location, who's afraid to show herself. And very soon finds that it is basically the ship's computer, which has evolved itself over 1,000 years. Now, obviously, a highly advanced computer system that is able to repair itself, it's possible that it could also improve itself over the years. And as demonstrated in the M5 episode in Original Trek with data and with other things, that it's quite possible that the computer could evolve into something that is more than just the primitive number cruncher that it may have been when it was first put on the ship. And it indicates that in the story. The computer calls itself Zora, and our hero calls himself Craft, although he admits that it's not his real name. Anyway, he is human, but human from 1,000 years in the future. And Discovery apparently has not had a crew in that period of time either. So the computer, with orders to keep the ship stationary, has kept it so and has kept the ship running. And apparently its power systems didn't have a whole lot of demand on them. So it's held station for a long time, waiting for its crew that will never return. So while it doesn't say that the computer is lonely, that Zora seeks companionship, it is quite obvious that the computer is warming up to Craft and Craft to Zora. She entertains him with old movies like Funny Face, which was featured, and Taco Tuesday, which he doesn't know what a taco is or what Tuesday is by this point. So here are little interesting vignettes within a bigger story about a person is completely isolated with nothing but artificial intelligence to be with. It's not far away from an episode of Farscape where Crichton loses track of Moya and finds another Leviathan ship of which is dying, and has only its pilot on board since it is fused with the ship. And so the pilot is the only person that he can talk with. And in the same way, that's the way Craft is. The only person he can talk to is this artificial intelligence, Zora. And he develops an affection for her, even though it is quite obvious that he misses his family. His son, who was just born when he left home, is now 11 years old. So he's been away from home for a long time. He had been on the escape pod for months. If not for this artificial intelligence, he would be dead by now. If not for Discovery's sick bays and everything working on automation, he would not have survived. And for a time, it looks like that Zora is not going to let him go. And in fact, eventually, though, she does. And they don't really give a reason for this, but it's a nice, compact, well-told story. You feel compassion for Kraft, as well as for Zora, especially at the end, as she cannot go with him and he can't stay with her. And the resolution of it was rather sweet. The other thing that I noticed about this episode, though, was that this says something about how Discovery as a series is going to end. Obviously, the ship is still going to be around, or at least if they go through linear time, it's possible that everybody abandons the ship and then it spore jumps or something 1,000 years in the future or something like that. Or something in order to get back with the crew. That could be rather far-fetched. And in fact, it may not have anything to do with the story of Discovery. But if it goes in linear time, it leads me to believe that there is some reason that it's that way. That probably Discovery is never going to be officially on the books. Therefore, it's not mentioned in subsequent series because what it was doing was so secret and it was lost for one reason or other with its entire crew that no one talks about it anymore, that no one's allowed to talk about it anymore, that the news never got out to anyone. And someone like Spock, for instance, might be sworn to secrecy that he even had a sister, much less any details of the relationship with her or with their meeting during their separate missions. So I find that kind of interesting, and it makes me interested as to how Discovery is going to end, if in fact they have a plan for how the series is going to end. I'd like to know what you think about this episode and what you think it means for the series of Discovery, or if you're just waiting for the new Picard series to come along sometime after the cartoon series finishes up. So we're still probably about 3 years down the line before we see that. So let me know what you think. Please don't forget to become a subscriber and ring the bell so you can see when the next video is coming. And until next time, don't go far.